I haven't been officially diagnosed with OCD, and not to make light of the condition, but it's the only way I can think to describe my behavior before bed each night. I always compulsively ensure that the front door is locked, often multiple times, before I finally head off to bed. That's in addition to other compulsive tasks like making sure all of the burners on the stove are turned off, but locking the door is of particular significance to this story. This isn't all too uncommon from what I've read online, especially for a young woman who lives alone like me. I even lock my door when I go down the driveway to take my garbage out to the road every week, or when I'm sitting in my backyard. So why did I think this was worth mentioning? It's not necessarily just the act of locking the door, but what accompanied it last night. I went to fiddle with the lock before bed to make sure it was secure like I've done 100 times before, but this time something different happened. I heard a bit of scuffling from the other side of the door like someone was just standing out there. My heart started to race and I stood completely still to see if something was actually there or if I had just imagined it. What happened next gave me goosebumps. I could distinctly hear my mother calling me softly from the other side of the door. I could recognize that voice anywhere, and she specifically said my name and gently asked me to open the door. I was extremely confused by this, because my parents live about a 2-hour drive away, and they never just show up unannounced, especially so late at night. After being frozen in place for what felt like a few minutes, I finally got up the courage to try and silently lean forward and look through the peephole in my door. I expected to see my mother standing there, but to my surprise there was no one at all. I even tried standing on my tippy toes to see if someone was crouching down, but there was no sign of anyone or anything. Confused and still a bit frightened, I turned around and started to make my way back upstairs to my bedroom as quietly as possible. But I hadn't taken more than 3 steps when I began to hear some strange noises. It wasn't necessarily a loud clawing sound, but it did sound like someone was pawing at the door gently with their nails. Soon, I heard the sound of my mother's voice again, but now she was making a fakely sweet voice asking me to let her in, as if to try and persuade me with kindness. My fear began to turn a bit to frustration and also a bit of concern that maybe her and my father had a fight and she had left for the night to stay with me, so I got up the courage to yell toward the door. "Why are you here?" I shouted. For an awkwardly long pause, there was no reply. Then I heard my mother's voice begin to shout at me like she was furious. "Listen to me, you little brat, you're going to let me in right now," she yelled. Even before this, I had felt extremely skeptical about the whole situation, but especially because I'd never heard my mother yell at me like this before and it was completely out of character. That's what really created a strong doubt in my mind. Either video call me to prove it's really you, or go away. If you can't prove it and keep bothering me, I'm going to call the police, I explained through the door. I must have waited at least 5 minutes in silence with adrenaline coursing through my veins and no reply before I heard feet slowly start to shuffle away from the door back down my driveway. I didn't sleep at all that night, as I had no idea what was waiting outside for me. I just laid awake in terror waiting for a strange noise or something out of place, but nothing else happened for the rest of the night. In the morning, everything seemed back to normal. There was nothing odd in my doorway. No physical scratch marks or anything else was left on the door. I went about my day as usual before I finally got ready for bed and went through my evening ritual of checking the doors and stove. I held my breath this time as I reached for the lock, unsure what I would be met with on the other side. To my relief, I didn't hear any voices or scratching this time and made my way back upstairs to my bed to spend some time browsing the internet on my laptop before I finally go to sleep. That's where I am now, and the strangest thing just happened. I could have sworn I just heard my mother's voice calling my name from in the spare bedroom next door. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Oh, and if you liked this story and have your own Reddit account, please upvote the story. Link is in the description.